Santo. Good evening, everyone. Can I please have a motion and a second to call the meeting of the Connecticut Board of Education to order?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I please have, nope. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence for our servicemen and women? Will the district clerk please call the roll?
Marisol Mallon, President.
Here.
April Natelli, Vice President.
Present.
Jackie DiLorenzo, Trustee.
Present.
Melissa Torregrossa, Trustee.
Present.
Dr. Joseph Senamore, Superintendent.
Present.
Lori O'Hara, Executive Director, Professional Development, Compliance Services, and Special Education.
Present.
John Allen, Assistant to the Superintendent.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're here to discuss board goals for the district. And before we start, I do want to just go through the survey that was sent out to the community. So we had 327 people respond to the survey. Current Connecticut parents, we had about 205. Former Connecticut parents, about 70. Connecticut graduates responded, district residents, staff, and students. So we had a good group of people respond, so I appreciate that. Our vision and priorities. So a lot of responses in the survey were for advancing academic performance, post-high school, college preparation and well-rounded career exposure, safety, parent-teacher communication, mathematical readiness, academic AGOR and achievements, fiscal investments into academics, mental health, anti-bullying, social awareness, drug prevention, transitioning into 5th to 6th grade or 8th grade to 9th grade, technology, AI, STEM programs, for example, our taxes and how, to not make them keep going up, career and technical education, financial literacy, elementary second language, special education IEP goals and accommodations, extracurriculars, accountability, and universal pre-K for all. So some postgraduate skills and qualities that were mentioned in the survey were life skills, financial skills and literacy, communication, writing skills, career awareness, ethics, character, work ethic, grit and empathy for our students, professional skills, creating resumes, independence, self-reliance, studying skills, time management and responsibility, self-advocacy, citizenship, technical skills, social media ethics, ability to identify facts versus opinions, and core literacy and mathematical skills. So college readiness. How important is it for the district to focus on college readiness? So 54.7% thought it was very important. 42.8% thought it was somewhat important, and 2.4% didn't think it was important at all. So some of that has to do with there's BOCES programs, there's trade school opportunities, business entrepreneurial options, encourage more electives throughout the district, career exposure, especially after some highly sought after jobs, financial literacy that pertains to college costs and loans. Maybe it's not financially responsible for the student to go to college, or how to figure it out. Aligning specific college needs to career paths, preparedness through rigorous courses, SAT, ACT prep, core real-world skills, perseverance in adapting, college course credits and dual enrollment options, and local college tours. Career preparation. How important is it for the district to focus on career preparation? So an overwhelming 83.5% thought it was very important, 15.9% thought it was somewhat important, and 0.6% didn't think it was important at all. So as far as career preparation, expand the higher education, have research facilities, private sector partnerships, exposure to varying career paths or trades, utilizing the guidance counselors as a vital resource, real-world preparation and skills, exposure to local professionals, some independence, BOCES options, in-house CTE options, and hands-on experience with trades, etc. How important is it for the district to focus on life skills? 91.7% thought it was very important, 7% thought it was somewhat important, and 1.2% didn't think it was important at all. So as far as life skills, some of the survey responses was execute communication skills, teach self-reliance, teach financial literacy, time management, decision-making, problem-solving, some coping mechanisms, self-advocacy, responsibility, civics, character building, and emotional regulation. As far as academic excellence, how satisfied are you with the current academic offerings? So this was a little more split. 48% were satisfied, where 46.8% were neutral, and 5% were dissatisfied. So some of the areas that were mentioned in the survey were to increase awareness of expansive offerings, some technology expansion, increase the second language course offerings, increase the arts or STEM offerings, expand hands-on learning experiences, expand trade opportunities, assess to year-end graduation data, enrichment opportunities, spend less time on Chromebooks, and tutoring, maybe offering more tutoring. Are there specific programs or subjects you feel should be expanded or introduced? Some of the responses that we received were financial literacy and economics. That seems to be a popular theme in our survey. STEM robotics, college prep, CTE, career or vocational, political science and history, consultorium programs, life skills, music and arts, CPR, first aid, medical careers, driver's ed, agriculture and sustainability, UPK aftercare, world language in the elementary, also another common theme, citizenship, digital literacy, AI learning, volunteerism, core foundations in the reading, writing, math, cursive, mental health, communication, public speaking, the gifted program or Sequest, local trade and business partnerships, grants, special education, law, or dual enrollment in AP course offerings. What challenges do you see to student academic success? And some of the responses that we received was too much use of technology, the class sizes, there's not enough group work, home support, I'm assuming not enough home support, lack of civic knowledge, cell phones, politics, lack of resources, mental health, lack of academic support and extra help, teacher recruitment, need for innovative strategies, AI accountability, lack of foundational literacy skills. They also feel there's too much homework, and social media and social challenges, student tardiness, lack of full student schedules at the high school level, accountability and responsibility, student awareness of opportunities, lack of hands-on experience, safety, lack of student confidence, early start times, guidance support, identification of post-high school interests, student-teacher engagement, post-high school financial barriers. So how effective is the district in communicating with families and the community? 51.4% thought the district was effective, 38.2% thought were neutral, and 10% was ineffective. So some of the comments were teacher communication, the cell phone policy communication, the district reliance on social media to print the district-wide calendar and to be more responsive to the community, more communication at the secondary level, update the website more frequently. Parent Square is mixed responses. Curriculum information on the website, the report card postings, and special events. So they want to see more communication on those topics. What method of communication do you prefer? So an overwhelming amount of people prefer email. Second was text messaging. And then Parent Square, phone calls, and social media was the lowest. So people want to communicate most through emails and text messages. What would encourage you to be more involved in the school district and activities? So after school or work event timing, I know the timing of some things are really hard. Recruitment, timely communication and notice, being part of the planning decision making, inclusivity to those with special needs, community-focused events, farming activities, academic activities, student-led activities, offer more club offerings, free babysitting, and schedule of school activities on the district website. Do you feel schools in the district provide a safe and supportive environment? So 53.8% agreed, 34% strongly agreed, and 11% disagreed. So some of the safety and well-being issues that were highlighted were backpacks, extra help, maybe provide more parent opportunities, the bullying issues, coaching engagements, support for students from all backgrounds, ID badge enforcement, bus tracking, more security presence, residency, and a political district. What improvements do you suggest regarding mental health resources and bullying prevention? So some of the responses that we had were accountability, identifying the issue, more supervision, restorative practices, long-term solutions, data, mediation, a cultural change, social worker classroom visits, team building, consistency of follow-through, the social media, utilization of outside resources, stricter and more consistent discipline, more professional development, student-teacher, teaching students how to address the bullying, wellness visits for all the students, MTSS support, increase the mental health staff, have more assemblies, digital and cyberbullying information, anonymous reporting, bystander training, and have older student peer mentoring to younger students, and increased education. What improvements would you like to see with our extracurricular resources? So some of the responses were upper turf field lights, middle school track, expand the offerings to meet student interest, more special needs inclusivity, more student staff regulated, participation data analysis, more STEM related clubs, community service and volunteerism, camps, enhanced club communication and promotions, NCAA information for post-high school, well-fitting uniforms, have our own fencing team, intramural sports, trade, school, related clubs and activities, community pool use, more unified sports teams, pickleball, technology honor society, have an app listing available extracurricular activities with a schedule and events, expand the 6th grade options, coaching and self-defense. What improvements would you like to see in our technology? So STEM, robotics, and coding, balanced technology use, updated Chromebooks and smartboards, science research, science lab equipment, digital arts, more electronic data and workflow, CTE or tech career courses and extracurriculars, Wi-Fi connectivity, adaptive technology updates, AI, real-world tech skills, professional development, and typing skills. What improvements would you like to see in transportation? Communication and responsiveness, the bus tracking app, no electric buses, bus discipline, in-house transportation only, professional development and training office, air conditioning on all buses, that would be nice, expand bus eligibility, more driver's assistance and bus aids, shorter late runs, efficient routing, and more cameras on buses. Buildings and grounds. Are you satisfied with the condition of school buildings and facilities? 60% or 59.9% are satisfied. 32 were neutral and 7.3% were not satisfied. So some of the comments on that topic was Sycamore playground expansion. There's garbage outside of the high school parking lot side gate. I'm assuming that means they wanted it open. Air conditioning, sports fields, teacher desks, Duffield courtyard, playground inclusivity, bathroom updates, high school cafeteria, including roll-up doors, windows, building management systems with climate control, and more solar. How confident are you in the district's use of financial resources? So 55.4% were confident, 8% were very confident, and 36.7% were not confident. So they feel that the district is administration heavy, lack of fiscal knowledge, more transparency and public information, access to previous years, position consolidation for non-instructional, student population decrease, yet the taxes increase. There's too much allocated to athletics, not enough is allocated to facilities, reduced legal fees, increased substitution pay, increased support staff, fiscal support for families in need, as far as like yearbooks and field trips, etc. What areas do you think require more investments? Some of our responses were technology, including AI and STEM, special education, equal at every school, staff professional development, security and safety, academics, trade school, better food options, promotion of New York State assessments for data collection, civics, special education, science research, resources and equipment, financial literacy, partnerships with local schools, mental health, social emotional well-being, substance use education and prevention, and bullying education and prevention, the arts and instruments, exterior grounds of the elementary schools, teachers and nurses, school supplies, reading including resources, the high school parking lot, extracurricular activities and intramurals, expand E&L to every school, physical skill set learning, UPK expansion, communication, and bathroom updates. So in summary of these things, of these themes, as far as academic excellence and students' preparation, the summary, strong focus on core academics, especially early reading and math, along with higher expectations and greater access to advanced courses. College, career, and life readiness, prepare students for life after high school through career and technical programs, trade pathways, internships, dual enrollment, and financial literacy. Student well-being, safety, and climate, and school climate, mental health and safety were the top concerns. Stronger wellness supports, clear and consistent enforced behavior expectation, continued efforts to prevent bullying and improve school climate, inclusion, equity, and student support, inclusive practices and reliable services for students with disabilities, fair and equal access to all programs, E&L needs and other learning differences, enrichment, engagement, and whole child development. So it's create a well-rounded school experience that includes the arts, athletics, clubs, electives, leadership opportunities, and hands-on learning beyond the classroom. Technology, STEM, and innovation, STEM learning, robotics, coding, and digital skills, while also expressing concerns about screen time. Communication, transparency, and community engagement. Clearer, more timely communication and consistent platforms, better access to the information, more opportunities to share the input and stay involved. facilities, transportation, and fiscal responsibility, upgrade the facilities, improve transportation, manage resources and responsibility, and transparency in budgeting and spending decisions that clearly benefit the students. So we want to thank everybody that participated in the survey and provided their input. So that is the overview of the survey results as we receive them. So before the board goes into a discussion, I will open the floor for the public. Did you want to speak, sir? Did you want to speak? Yeah. It will be, yes. Yep. Okay. So I'm just going to remind you of our rules of, you know the rules, right?
Good evening. I want to thank the board for sending the survey out. I think it was a great idea, and I personally appreciate it. Not every, college prep is important without a doubt, but it shouldn't crowd out the opportunities for other avenues for success. Many years ago, every school had shop classes. There was a carpentry shop, there was an electrical shop, there was a metalworking shop, there was an automotive shop. So kids that weren't inclined to go to college kind of felt like they were part of something, okay, and possibly would steer them in an alternate direction. Every trade has a trade school, okay? I have a son who has a very successful construction business, and he has trouble recruiting young people to take the place of long-term employees that are ready to retire. A lot of it has to do with that kids are not steered in that, who are inclined to, are not steered in that direction at all. And he's developed a relationship with local school districts, and that has helped to some degree. A college degree does not guarantee that you're going to get a job, okay? So I think it would be a good idea to consider possibly offering shop classes back again, if possible, and maybe that would help change the mindset. Now, there's going to be a big opportunity because in all reality, what's happening now is that because a lot of hands-on employers can't get kids, American kids to hire, they're forced to hire people that are here illegally, okay? Now, because we all know what's happening now, a lot of them are being shipped back because they broke the law. So there's a lot of voids and a lot of opportunities that are going to be missed. And I think districts would be smart to start thinking about moving in that direction. Now, I just want to say a little bit about the student loan program. And when you look at it from a business standpoint, think about this. You have banks that lend young people with just about zero credit history and zero work experience, $20,000 to $80,000 a year, okay? The schools are guaranteed their money. So there is no incentive on their end to provide courses that are relevant for real world success. They get their money, okay? And the student is left with a big loan that they may not be able to pay off, okay, and no guarantee of a job. Now, it's kind of an offshoot of what we're talking about here, but it's something that everybody should keep in the back of their mind. So, the skilled trades, very important, okay? They will not be replaced by artificial intelligence because all the skilled trades require critical thinking, okay, and real intelligence.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Oh, just one other question. Are you going to be sending a copy of the results out to the community?
We will post them on the district website.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so I'm going to open floor to the board. If you want to take it theme by theme, I guess, and just take one at a time. Michael, you want to?
Yeah, and this is something that ties into what you were saying, and something that I noticed a lot in the presentation. I think, as a student, what I've noticed is the biggest thing is a lot of things aren't really as advertised. Like, we do have a number of different shop classes and stuff, and we have a lot of STEM clubs and a lot of STEM classes, but it took me years to hear about them, And I don't think that's necessarily at fault of the district. I have seen them posted on the different school classrooms or made announcements, but it's kind of just a lot of kids don't really listen, and I don't know what the solution is on how to get it out there to everyone. But I think we have a lot more resources and stuff than most kids know about, and I think that's probably the biggest problem in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely agree 100% with you, Michael. One of my main things is that we have so many electives that no one knows about. And, I know it's not cost effective to send out to the community because it is expensive, but I do think that we should send something to all 8th grade students going into 9th grade. They should receive our course guide book, because every parent, every student should have the ability to look through that book. And a physical book everybody's not going on the website, going through every single, what's in the arts, what's in the English, what's in the social studies. Sometimes you don't even realize certain classes are categorized under those categories. So I definitely would advocate to send a course guide book home. Again, it's only one student population, even if we did it right before you went into high school, and it's something you can keep for the 4 years. Obviously, things change, but at least they have the bulk of what we offer in the school. And Marisol, as for each topic, I'm not sure if we want to do that, or if we want to just maybe say what our goals are, so that we don't, I don't want to waste, because facilities, things like that, not everything, it's up to everybody else, but, I don't, if we don't have something to say on that topic.
Right, so then you wouldn't say anything when we got to that topic. But Michael, to your point, I also agree with what you're saying, because I know for the sign language class, that was an elective a few years ago, not many students knew about it. So
I didn't know we had a sign language class.
Correct. So only select few people knew about it, and then we ended up not being able to offer the class. So I don't also know what the solution is. Maybe post them outside of guidance if a new elective comes about, or I'm not sure. But I agree with you that we have a vast array of electives that are offered, and a lot of students don't know about a lot of them. Yeah, go ahead.
So I do know how you can fix this. I don't agree with the cost effective and that it's costly to send something home. I don't agree with 8th grade. I think it should be 9th grade. Kids that are going into 9th grade or in 9th grade, we mail it home to all of the 9th graders. I came from a guidance counselor. They have to essentially evaluate each kid and determine, would this kid benefit from, let's say, welding? People don't know that welding is kind of a lost art, and I'm not kidding when I tell you, you can become a millionaire from doing that. It's really simple. It's when you weigh against cost value and what's beneficial to the kids, you send it home, you mail it home. You have it posted outside of guidance, but you have the guidance counselors kind of evaluate each kid. Maybe at the end of 9th grade, maybe in the middle of 9th grade. But there are distinct ways that it should be done, and that it was done years and years ago. I understand everything is computerized, but clearly that didn't work with you, and you're a really good student. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I think. Again, sometimes you have to go back to old school. Just my opinion.
I also just wanted to add to that, I guess, same point of people not knowing what's available. Beyond just classes, I know we have a woman at the school, Mrs. Rapone, who does a lot of the career stuff, and has been incredibly helpful. Every time I interacted with her, she helped me get a job, helped me with my resume, helped me go on job shadows. I just think not all the kids know about that we have this like resource at our school. So I think that's another thing that needs to be, I guess, a little bit more advertised.
So do we want to touch on student achievement and instructional excellence? And I'll hear everybody's goals on that.
Sure. My goal, which we did discuss at the last meeting when we were discussing goals, is for academic excellence is the same as it was last year, and I know we're working towards it, that kids who want to go into vocational, being a cop, a fireman, anything like that, that they can acquire their associate's degree while still in high school. So they actually do not need to go to college afterwards. They can apply and be part of the workforce right away.
I do like that. That's a really good goal to have. One of my goals is to see the math and the English scores increase. I know that New York Reimagines is looking to add more CTE and career readiness programs beyond college. So I do like that part of it, because not everyone is meant to go to college and not everyone can go to college. So there are resources for post high school and not necessarily just college.
I'll speak again unless anybody wants to, but I didn't realize you want to touch on the CTE. I do feel we should bring a BOCES course in-house if it's cost effective. We need to weigh out how much it costs us to send the students to the most well-attended class at BOCES, and I would love to see it back in the high school. When I went to the high school, we also had the automotive shop, everything like that. We do offer these classes, but I would love to see a BOCES class that students are attending, that they could stay in the school and it's not as hard for them to go on the bus, go all the way there, come back. So that is definitely something I'd like to see, and I know you're working towards that also.
If I'm reading through what the community especially said, I would like to see us get in contact with the local labor unions and stuff like that and forge those partnerships there. I'm sure they exist and are available, because as we just heard, even people are struggling to find people to work. And with that, I know that we had spoke about, which I don't know where it was at, there was the plan for I believe we were going to call it a college and career center. I don't know where that stands, but it sounds more relevant now than ever, because it not only touches on the college component, but college is not going to be for everyone for many reasons. Either they just can't wait to get done with school and they're not interested in doing more of it. It might not be financially realistic for some people, whatever the situation. But I think that I know we have a lot of colleges that actually come into the high school and do on-site meetings, but I would like to see more of that from like labor unions and things like that in a similar way, so that we are making sure that everybody has that exposure.
I know New York Reimagines is bringing financial literacy as a requirement, so I am extremely excited about that, because that is something that I've always wanted to see. I think students need to know how to be financially responsible post-high school. But another one of my goals as far as education goes is the foreign language. I really want to bring foreign language to every student starting in kindergarten, and not just 20 minutes during lunch, like bring it in for real. So that's one of my long-term goals, is to bring in foreign language to kindergarten through 12th grade.
Listen, this isn't going to make me popular. I'd like to see math not be as convoluted and almost counterintuitive. I'd like to see it go back to basics, maybe get better grades, make it easier for the kids to learn. Again, not going to make me popular with that statement, but I'd like to see that. And
It's okay, it's not about
really
being popular, it's about
focusing-
having goals.
and focusing a lot more on English and knowing how to write a cover letter, having kids know what a verb is, a pronoun. It's just my,
And even as simple
One of
as
my
learning how
goals.
to write in cursive,
I'm sorry?
cursive scripts.
Yes, cursive. Cursive.
Can I share a goal as well? I would say, and I guess this is a little bit of a pet peeve of mine. In the past 2 years, I've become a lot more interested in the coursework that I'm doing, and it's kind of made me a little bit more motivated and excited about doing my schoolwork. I feel like a lot of kids, even if they're interested in the topics, like I have friends who want to go to into like the trades after, and they're taking all of our shop classes and stuff. It's like stuff that they're clearly interested in, but a lot of kids are just really, I guess, unexcited. And I don't know what the fix for that is, but I know school got a lot easier for me once I got excited about it. Like I love math, and Calc BC. It's not an easy class, but I love going and doing the work because I really like it. And I think I don't know. It feels like for a lot of people, school is such a chore, and I think that if there could be kind of like a mindset shift, I don't know how that would be, but I think it would make it a lot easier for a lot of people.
Thank you. Does anybody else have anything on student achievement and instructional?
I have a few things to say actually about all of this, which I understand all of this, and I don't want anybody's efforts, to go to waste. So I think it's actually very good. We can use a lot of what's in this, but I just want to make sure we're not losing sight of our role. We're supposed to be the 30,000-foot view. And while I agree with the trades, I'd love to see foreign language. I would love to see all that. These are goals that are so specific. They're almost more like we can give this to our directors, our administrators, our teachers. Let them use this, because we have to actually come up with goals that you can measure. We're supposed to be that overview way up high, watching, and making sure that we reach goals and there's a measurable goal. So I do have a list, and I can go through, I guess, each topic of what I would like to see, because I think we're getting very specific here with I think we have to make it a little bit more broad for us in our role. And I do believe, as board members, this is something that we should be able to do. A lot of what is on this slideshow, you could have gotten from various emails we've gotten, social media, all of that. We didn't necessarily need a survey to know that school lunch is bad. I mean, people don't like it. We've known that. So, but I don't want anybody's efforts to go to waste. So I think we can probably use a lot of the information in the results that can be dispersed to the directors, because there's different things. There's IT in there. There's buildings. There's mental health. There's the academics, to all of our directors, so that they could have a little bit more of a pinpoint on what the community wants, and they could take what they need. But for us, for instance, what I would like to see, since we're talking about student achievement instruction.
But before you go on, I just want to touch on what you just said. So you're right. So we stand at the top and we have a bird's eye view of the district. However, the goals, we are supposed to provide them to the superintendent, who will then distribute them throughout the district as he sees fit to make sure that these goals are met. So when you give a specific goal that is attainable, because you want to know that the superintendent saw that goal got met, and that's how it's then used to evaluate him. This is how it was explained to me yesterday. I did call a NISBA rep to ask what our role in this should be. And he said, you need very specific short-term goals and then you need broad, long-term goals. And all the goals are given to the superintendent, whose job is then to make sure that they're attained. And then we use that as a measure to evaluate the superintendent. So,
I understand
sorry,
what
I
you're
didn't mean to
saying.
interrupt
No,
you. I
that's
just
okay.
wanted to clarify before.
And I understand what you're saying, but those individual goals at this point are kind of just sitting there. They're, you know, you need those long-term goals, and then you have the tiny goals, like these little ones, the smaller one, to get to them. For instance, I want to go through what I would like to see as far as student achievement and instruction. I would like to see an increase in district-wide ELA math proficiency by at least 3% annually. At that point, then now we take the individual goals that we have to reach that, because I want to see the proficiency increased. At my level as a Board of Education trustee, I want to see that. Of course, underneath that, that's the umbrella that is covering over the individual things that we do, evaluating the math programs, evaluating this, but also that information comes from the directors. Our goal, for me anyway, speaking for myself, is I want to see it increase. I want to see the proficiency increase. I would love to see I don't know what's happening with the Regents exam, but pass rates increase 2 to 5%. Whether this is, we discussed, maybe we want to do this, we want to see these increases at the end of 1 school year, 2 school years, we said it like a timeline. I want to see an increase in that. How can we get that? So we see our Regents grades, the passing grades increase. I would like to also raise AP participation for AP classes, 5%, maintaining a minimum of 80% of a passing grade on AP exams. Again, that's what I would like. That's a long-term goal I would like to see, with the individual goals underneath of evaluating the curriculums, making sure they're aligning to college-level standards, and making the necessary adjustments so we can get to that goal. I would also love to see, I think our dual enrollment is fantastic. I would love to see that participation increase by about 5%, and maybe maintain a minimum of 90% in the final average grade, so students get their credit. They're actually learning. We want to see a measurable progress with each of these things. Of course, the CTE enrollment, increase that by 10% through BOCES, EMT fire programs, in-district pathways. Increase that, because as we discussed, I think we're all kind of in agreement from what I heard. The trades, we have to get that out there. Not everyone is college bound. We want to make sure every pathway is available to them. So there's a measure on that. I'd like to see it increase by 10%. Make sure kids are getting what they want. They're on the path that they want to be on. I would also like to reduce out-of-district special education placements by 10% using our in-district supports. And how do we do that? Those little goals underneath of making sure our staff is up to date with their professional development, any certifications they may need, so that they have the ability to provide the necessary supports rather than sending students outside the district. I also want to see our IEP compliance for timely evaluations, annual reviews, service delivery, so that we can reach. I don't want to dip on that at all. I want 100% compliance. All of our IEPs need to be followed. So these are the things that I would like to see as far as goals for student achievement and instruction. Umbrella over all of these little things that we've talked about, because I totally see all that. I get it. The great classes that we have, not enough information out there. Yes, I would like to do that to eventually reach these long-term goals at our level.
Those are all great things. Sarah?
So I think that a lot of districts, Connecticut being one of the top ones, every 7 to 9 years, there's a new fad that comes out. It was Slinglin when my son was in school. It's Learning Literacy Collaborative. It's all of these different things. We start these new things that are tens of millions of dollars. Our teachers are out of the classroom learning, okay, consistently learning. It takes them a long time, millions more, okay. I'd like to see a little bit going back to basics. I'd like to see us not follow the very next fad that comes in, where the teachers have to be at LRM and have to start all the way over at A, okay? It's making things harder for our kids. It's making it harder for the teachers. I'd like to see a little bit back to basics, because clearly these fads aren't working. Verbs, pronouns, cursive, math, all of these different things. And it's not for lack of the teachers going and trying to learn, okay? they're required to leave the classroom to learn the next step, okay? It's not something they can learn all at once. But again, every 7 to 9 years, something new comes down the pike, and Connecticut seems to be the next district jumping on that fad wagon, okay? And it's clearly not benefiting our kids or doing anything for our teachers or making it easier. Not that we're looking to make it easier, okay? But we're certainly not looking to make it more difficult.
I would like to address just a couple of things with Jackie and then some other things. I do agree we have long-term goals, and having the dual degree is a long-term goal. We started that last year, and we're continuing on, and I'm hoping that within the next 1 to 3 to 5, it's going to happen. Many of the things that many of the board members have said are long-term goals. We have to give those short-term things so that we have, and I'll call it a win. You want like an app for extracurricular? I thought that was a great idea. Whichever community member came up with that, or multiple community members, awesome idea to have an app with extracurricular, all the clubs, everything on there. So a parent just has to hit a button and they can see everything. I thought that was amazing. As for the AP participation in taking the test, there is a fee, and also many students go into fields that AP course, that credit is not going to be transferred to college. So I myself have children that was not transferred. They took the AP course because they wanted to challenge themselves. It's a personal achievement and it looks good on their resume. But AP courses in many careers are not transferred to school because colleges, the next step wants to see that you took that at the college level, not just in an AP high school course. So, I just want to make sure that if we're putting that 80% passing rate, or everybody has to take it, who participates, we just have to think about the whole realm of what that class really means. Personally, I do agree with the IEP. Of course, we should be 100% compliant. I also feel that when we think of, I feel we have a lot of special ed programs, and I actually feel we have a lot of AP offerings or higher level classes. And I always feel like the gen ed kid is the lost soul. And that what are we giving them? So, in the sense of that BOCES class coming in-house, I do feel we have to satisfy the gen ed real life, as like a lot of community members pointed out, in something with that. And what courses do we have? Maybe we could pull them out and let the community know what is a real life course that some of these kids don't even realize we have and could be taking. A resume writing, we had to write resumes when I was in school, in English class. We learned how to write a resume. I don't think they do that anymore. And I get we have AI and you can plug in some stuff and probably pops out a resume. I'm not really sure, but I'm sure it is. But I do think kids lack that. I know my 2 older ones got out and I wrote their resumes for them. So I do think that's a life skill that most people need. People want resumes.
So, just to clarify, AP classes, there are a lot of these kids that believe they are transferable. And I know it because it happened with my daughter. So, just to clarify that. Also, I didn't learn it in English. I actually learned it in business class. And I'm not sure if they still do that. I hope they do. Because it's ever so important. A resume. So, just that.
So the AP classes are transferable, but to April's point, into their major. So my own child right now, she got a 4 on her AP chemistry. So it did transfer, but it transferred as an elective and not for chemistry. She still had to take chemistry at the college level because of her major. So they do transfer, but and some schools only take 5s, some schools take 3s, some schools only take 4s or 5s. So it depends on the school your child goes to. So APs could be a little tricky, I guess, in a sense. It is a good challenge for the high school student. It is a good goal to have, Jackie, but there are a lot of innuendo.
Variables.
Right. All right. Moving on to special education and student support. If anybody wants to start with their goals on that topic.
Do you want to cover the mental awareness and all that under this. So I would like to see a program where we are building, character building and bully prevention from kindergarten up. I feel we're lacking in the lower grades, so by the time the kids do reach high school, not that, we're not old enough to know, but we didn't teach them the best we could have. And I think we can do a lot more. We had received information from all the schools, and it varied across the board. I just feel we need something in tact, something that we commit to. And like Sarah said, almost every single educator I've ever spoken to agrees that if you have a program and you stick to it, it eventually does work because it is known by the teachers. They know it in and out. They can teach it. They can do it with the back of their hand. Kids understand it. We have it throughout the district. So if you learned it in kindergarten, you're learning in 8th grade because we kept the program. I agree with math. I feel like we just constantly were trying a new program. We never stuck long enough. Our teachers didn't even have a chance to learn the new math before we were already going to a next new math. So I do agree that we need some kind of consistency and a program in the bullying and the character building that actually lasts and that we can use throughout the years and that grows with the student.
So April, just to build off of that, because I think that's wonderful, and I don't know if this is something that we can do as a district, but one of my goals is maybe we can build our own curriculum around bullying. Is that what you were like getting to?
100%, that's what I
Yeah,
want.
so like have our own anti-bullying curriculum that can go into professional development, and maybe the teachers
Exactly.
can utilize it.
That can be a short-term and long-term goal, because I want it to happen soon, but I want us to build on it so that every year we're working towards something new with the next. So you're 5, you learn this, you're 6, 7, 8. And by the time you get to high school, you, again, know it like the back of your hand.
Correct.
Sarah?
Yeah, I'd like to see less tolerance for the bullying.
Okay.
That's it, from an early age on up. I do believe they all need to learn from kindergarten up, for sure. I think they're trying to do that. I think it also has to happen at home. Clearly, we all know that. But if there's a little less tolerance for the actual bullies, instead of putting the bully in with the prey and having a conversation and then having them go on their way, that doesn't work. Clearly, also, there are degrees of issues. Okay, I'm not talking about the first offense or even the second offense. But clearly, if it's like baseball, 3 strikes, you're out. I'd like to see a little more of that, a little less of the district acquiescing to a threat of being sued. Give me a break.
So, obviously, mental health and things of that nature are near and dear to my heart. I think we have to be careful, right? And this is going to sound interesting coming from me, about towing a line when we start talking about bringing mental health and those sort of things into the classroom, only because Sarah just said it starts at home, right? And like at the same time, we have to. It's a moot point if that's not what, let's say, a parent, that's not the lesson a parent would like to teach their child. So I think that there's like a way we do this. I think something that lacks massively is an understanding on like almost the education component. Everybody knows what the word bully means, but I don't know that enough emphasis is put on some of the long-term impacts that it can have on people, right? Like it's always just you're mean to somebody or this, and it doesn't really expand on what that looks like, as well as if you're an adult, the ramifications of some of the actions you're participating in as a minor, right? Like I don't know that there's enough of an understanding on that, and I do think it starts in elementary school, but I think we need to do better than just like be nice and like mean what you say, but don't say it mean, because it's how long we've been hearing that since I was in school, right? And like it's just getting meaner out there in all actuality, and now there is a level of connection that the students have with each other that none of us experienced, and that is that 24/7 connection on a cell phone. They are never separate from their peers. ever. They are on social media apps together, they are on everything, and there's always that comparison factor. So I think that all of the methods that exist right now are a little bit antiquated for all of this because it's an entire new world that I don't think any of us really, I think we all know what it looks like, but to actually live in it, I can't imagine being 14, 15 years old and never being disconnected from the people I go to school with. Yeah, right, even earlier now. So I like, for me, I think you kind of hit it, like developing our own programs. Like outside resources are great for beyond us, but I think that those need to just really be like a really loose foundation, and then we need to like connect, quantify it, and make it make sense for us.
Did anybody else want to add anything to
Yeah, I
special
thought you
ed?
were just next.
No, that's
Oh,
okay.
I
I
just-
also, sorry.
Go ahead.
No,
you
ahead.
go. You go. You hit me before. You hit before I did. Go
No,
ahead.
that's okay. I also want to make sure that we support the students in teaching them how to self-advocate for themselves, how to be their own voice. So I think that that would be a good goal to have for the district, teach kids self-advocacy. April?
I just wanted to add that in October, the NISBA weekend that I participated online, you guys went in person, they had the workshop, and I really feel like we have to maybe use some of these resources on how to do character building in the elementary school. And I thought so many of the ideas they had were amazing. Down to, it's literally a 5-minute lesson every day. That's it, 5 minutes out of the classroom time of just writing down, what did you like about your morning? You know, just teaching them to think positively versus negatively. It is so simple, and it's not intrusive, you know, like Melissa said, because it shouldn't be, because, you know, I agree that, you know, there's things you should teach at home. But this is just a simple mindset of every day, no matter which age group you are, you take the 1 to 5 minutes, and you're writing a positive thing. And they had a different question every day, and they had, so there's a lot of material out there. I just feel we're not grabbing it. And if we take the time to do our own curriculum, and we take the time to grab all these things that are out there, I really think we'd have an amazing program.
So I agree with the self-advocating, for sure. But again, there's an issue when it starts at an early age. These kids are self-advocating and going to the proper person, and they're put in a room essentially to sing Kumbaya with their bully, okay? And then they go off on their own. And it doesn't stop. And it doesn't stop because of the social media and the things that these kids are going through. So having said that, yeah, April, I agree with you, sounds really great in theory. I don't know an elementary school teacher in our district that doesn't do, to a certain degree, some more than others clearly, but they all essentially do what you're saying about the writing down and teaching and the kind of the self-love, and they teach against bullying. That's not working. We need to figure out how to help our kids. By the way, the bullies as well. Down the line in life, you're going to have to learn that there are consequences.
Go ahead, Melissa.
I just, off of mental health, but still under this umbrella, I do want to also look at, somebody had mentioned it within these results, and it is really important to make sure that all the resourcing across schools is consistent, that certain schools don't have certain things available that others might not, because that's just really not, it's not fair and it's not right. So I think it's like really important that we level the playing field, and I'm going to be very specific in saying I don't mean take anything away from a school that has more than another. It means bring what those schools have that's working to the ones that don't. Before somebody takes away something that's good to try to even it, we need to make sure, we need to bring all of the schools to the same level, and I think that is super important.
You think they're not? They're not.
Jackie?
So yeah, I'm hearing what everybody's saying, and I one of the things I want to bring up is that many years ago, I had advocated for, God bless you, exactly that, for us to come up with our own curriculums, which is where the EASL curriculum came from. That is exactly that. That is staff coming up with, we have incredible mental health staff, and they are coming up with their own curriculum. So I would like to see that continue. It's still in the works. It's, always a work in progress. But that is something that is happening. Another thing, bringing down to the elementary levels, which I'd also like to see that through, is the LICAB initiative of 24 student ambassadors. And one of the things that they're doing is they are, which I know I've talked about it with the mental health committee update, they're bringing that down to the elementary level, because it is important to get to those students at that age. Of course, like I know one of you said, it starts at home, right? Of course, a lot of that starts at home, and we have to remember that there are certain things that we can only do so much as a school. So, but we are doing that, and the other thing that I know you talked about, which I actually saw on here from the survey, it's actually something that I do not agree with, and you touched on it, not with those terms, though, Sarah, so I agree with you that this whole sit in a room and kumbaya, talk to each other, is restorative practices. Absolutely not. I would not support that. I know that that's basically what you were saying is not restorative practices. I don't agree with that, because that is not something you want to just sit there and you talk. And, I don't want to go there. It has a tendency to become more on the political side. It's a slippery slope. I do not want to see this district go down. That is not something I want to see implemented, because I agree with you there. But what I would like to see, which I think we have been seeing, we just recently got a DASA report from the Mental Health Advisory Council. I think the anti-bullying that showed the reports of the DASA reports have gone down significantly this past year. But what I would like to see is reduced, of course, more. We're never going to completely get rid of bullying. That's impossible. That's not going to happen. But I would love to see it go down about 10% district-wide. The DASA data, keep bringing it down. It's been going down. Keep bringing it down. Part of the mental health is to make sure that we have our initiatives. Keep going with the initiative. Increase them by 10%. The LICAB initiative, which is great. Keep going with that. So I do want to see that. I think another thing that helps with mental health is student attendance and reducing chronic absenteeism. Very hard to do, but I would like to see if we can try to do something like that. Improve student attendance by 3%, make it where students want to come to school. And that's all mental health. A lot of that is mental health. Make sure that they have the supports in place. So I would like to see all of that.
So we agree on certain things for sure. We're talking about self-advocating. When a child goes to the proper authority, when issues are occurring, and they're put in a room to do the kumbaya, okay? They're essentially being sent on their way as though it's been settled, and it's not, okay? It very rarely is. Having said that, okay, then you come to the issue of DASA going down. DASA is the highest level, okay? It's a parent coming in, filling out a formal report, having a DASA investigation. Do you know how much bullying goes on before it ever even touches DASA? Okay? And if you have a lot of kids in elementary school that are self-advocating and nothing's coming of it, okay, and their bullies are still out there doubling down because they told, okay, and they're begging their parents, don't go to school, please don't complain, it's only going to get worse. So there's a question, I think, as to why DASA has gone down. I want to know what the numbers are, okay, for the kids that simply go and complain. Simply go and do the self-advocating, because that's where the bullying, where they're doing the right thing. They're going to what we've always said for time immemorial, go to the adult. The adult will take care of it. So these are my issues. These are my concerns. Great that the DASA has gone down. Quite frankly, and I want to see kids going to school more too. But you know how often the kids are crying, I don't want to go to school, I don't want to go to second period, I don't want to go to fifth period, I don't want to go to school at all, because it's just going to be the same thing over and over again. So clearly, something else needs to be done. At the very start, I want to see numbers as to what kids are complaining, how many, not what kids, but how many. Okay, from the bottom on up.
Yeah, so as you know, we have recently discussed as a board that we would like to see more data on that subject due to the fact that we realize and recognize that it's a huge problem in the district. So I do believe that Dr. Centimore is going to be bringing us quarterly data on even if a bully complaint came in. It doesn't have to reach DASA. It could be in-school suspension, out-of-school, any complaint. It could just be, like you said, little Joey talked to little Johnny and there was bullying. We want to know because we need to recognize that because we can't improve unless we have that data. So 100%. Yes, correct.
So we agree, Sarah, that, and that's why we're here. So, and that's why we're trying to make those goals so that we can. No, oh, yeah. Your mic, so the people at home.
Just to clarify, I don't think we're not trying. Okay. I do believe we're trying. The thing is, I'm simply clarifying where I stand on certain issues.
Yes, and
That's
we
it.
all agree. Yeah, great. Does anybody else have anything? Jackie, were you done with this? All right. So we want to move on to fiscal responsibility and budget
Can I say one
transparency?
more thing?
Yeah.
So I understand that the guys and the girls in the high school, all the way down to the elementary school, a big issue is they don't tell and they don't do things because there's this new thing, well, not so new, but relatively new, embarrassment. They're embarrassed about so many different things. So they're not complaining. They're not putting letters in the box that states certain things like this person's being bullied or that. They're so fearful of embarrassment. Maybe we could work a little on that. Not we, but the people that we have in place to do that.
Sure. So one of my goals as far as fiscal responsibility, while being fiscally responsible, is to be more transparent to the community. So I know we say we're going to put it online, and I know we say we're going to put it on board docs, but I actually want to see it put online and on board docs for the community to have access to the budget through the season.
Yeah, I definitely agree in transparency because of the fact that we are privy to a lot of things up here on the board that the public doesn't know, and I think we forget sometimes that they don't know. You know, just like all these programs and everything we're talking about, why many of us say in-house, because some of these programs, to go out and buy a program and get training, could be like $100,000. If we want to keep our taxes down, our state aid is down, we need to be more responsible when bringing in these new programs or thinking about new ideas. And that's why, you know, as time shifts, sometimes you come back to the old, go with the new, it depends. But we have to always be responsible enough to recognize that which way is the best way for the students, and is it also financially responsible for the district to make that change, and for the taxpayers. Because our job up here is to make sure that we're speaking for the community.
I'd like to see budget advisory committees come back. 20 years ago we had them. It made a lot more transparent. And I'd also like to see what monies were moved out of what line item to other places immediately after the budget was passed. I'd like to see things like that. That's a type of transparency as well. So that's where I'm at.
Well, what I would like to see is, I would like us to perhaps have multi-year fiscal forecasts presented each year, budget, reserves, enrollment. I want to see the annual budget increase minimum, maybe 2%. I mean, a lot less would be great, but, you know, I don't want it, I mean, a maximum, not a minimum.
Wait, you want the budget increased 2%? Is that what
No,
you
I
said?
don't, I'm saying I don't want to see it go over. I don't
Oh,
want to be,
gotcha.
yeah.
Yep.
My wording was off, sorry.
No.
A long day.
No,
But,
I get you.
Yeah, while maintaining, of course, while maintaining our program quality, because we are here first to educate the child, so I want to see that. I would like to see clean audit results with no material weaknesses. I know we've seen, you know, some things in the internal audit, the external audit. I would like to see that improve. I would also like to see us maintain at least 95% spending accuracy with the adopted budget. So in other words, we are actually, these budget transfers, and I know that has to happen sometimes, but let's get us as accurate as possible with the budget transfers so that we make sure we are properly budgeting for each line item. Going forward, we really watch where our spending is and adjust accordingly. If we, each year, I want to maintain that we have at least 95% spending accuracy.
Anybody else on the, Melissa?
This was on this paper, but I would like us to really look at the programs we are spending the money on too. I think that we get presented things sometimes and it sounds like so good, but we have 7 other programs that do bits and pieces of that thing that just got presented to us. Like, example, we have Mrs. Yoni Kohler, and she just told us about the new program that she's bringing in that's going to replace one that is not only less expensive, but covers all the bases and some of the one that we had. So I want to make sure that we are staying up to date with what is going to be the most helpful, but not just adding that on top of something we already have. Like, this program does this piece, but this program does this piece. Chances are, if we're thinking of it, somebody's thinking of it exists. So I really want to do better at consolidating all the money that we spend on all of these different programs that probably there's one that exists or they're just overlapping each other and it's not necessary. And I know that part of them is on here actually like an efficiency audit for like, it sounds good in the moment, but when you look at it from that 30,000 foot view of everything that we have, it's actually maybe a little duplicative, if you will.
And Sarah, I'm sure you'll agree as far as the fiscal responsibility to apply for and write as many grants as possible. Yes.
I'd like to see if we can bring things in to teach students how to potentially write grants. That's a good way for them to make money if they're going to school, indoor trade school. Teaching kids how to write grants.
That's great. All right, community engagement and communication. So I know for myself, I love when the community is involved. I love the communication to the community, and I know that sometimes we fall short of that. So I just want to try to find a tool. I know Parent Square is a tool, but it's not an amazing tool. It doesn't get out to the whole community. So if we could find a way to engage with the whole community, for me, would be a great goal.
Agree, and I think that I would like to hit a point of consistency in how we're also communicating. It should never be, this type of notification goes out through Parent Square, but this one comes through an email, and sometimes it's a mass mailer, and then sometimes it's just a phone call. Because I don't know if anybody else picked up, a lot of the things that were mentioned within the feedback we got are some things that we already have, that obviously people are unaware of, and that's on us for not communicating that these things exist. So clearly our vehicle for communication could use some work. I know that we have heard a community member more than once discuss wanting to be involved in the district and wanting to stay involved in the community, but not having kids in the district anymore. So kind of just falling off the communication chain somewhere. And I think it's so important to keep everybody in the loop, but especially those who are coming here to tell us they want to be involved, right? So I think Parent Square is great for parents with kids in the district, it seems. Outside of that, it's kind of, you can have the notifications, but they come so sporadic and it's a little bit off. So I 100% agree, but I would like to, to make sure that we are consistent in our communication.
Sarah?
Yeah, I'd like to see more dittos going home. I mean, and things going home. And you can laugh all you want, but we heard from a high school genius.
Dittos. That's from when
Dittos.
I was in I was in elementary school.
Whatever. I want to see actual things going home
Flyers.
with the kids. Flyers.
Dittos.
Ditto flyers. But think about it. We've had a lot of that communication came in with this survey, but we also heard it from our resident high school student. Things are not translating, okay? Even though we're in the age of computers and everybody seems to be computer savvy, okay? There are certain things I think need to go home. again, may not make me popular. Oh, and my phone number's out there, my personal phone number. You don't have to go through the district clerk. You don't have to go through the school email. All my information is out there. Anybody wants it, you don't have to agree with me. If you have a question, you want to keep it private, you want to argue, call me or email me. Or send me a ditto.
Jackie?
I know. What can I say?
I don't know, that was good. So, one of the things that I'm torn with this because it costs money to send things home, and I know that. But we have also seen a lot of people say, multiple people, and we've said it up here, if you're not a parent, you don't have a kid in school that's gonna get a ditto sent home, you don't know what's happening. So we have a whole community of people that have no idea what's going on, even from the budget all the way to a musical. Like, they don't know what's happening. And I don't know that going this route is the way to do it, but ideally, I would like to see a quarterly communication go out to every single community member that has updates on the budget, anything safety, our academics, facilities, what capital projects we're doing, and extracurriculars, what's happening in the community. I would love to increase that communication.
No, that was me, I'm sorry.
Okay, oh, that's okay. I would like to see that increase to everybody, because if you don't have a kid in the school, you could be missing out. I don't want anybody to miss out, and we have heard this from people before. Again, money is a thing. It costs money to send things out to every single community member, but it's a goal I would like to see us get to, just getting there.
I agree with you 100%. Having said that, a part of fiscal responsibility is doing the right thing. Now, we may not be able to send dittos home to everybody, but I'll tell you something that was important. And this, believe it or not, is a part of fiscal responsibility as well. Everyone in this community got a calendar, which told a lot of everything that was going on, from plays to votes, to budget votes, to meetings, to everything, okay? And a part of fiscal responsibility, I can't believe how little turnout we have in meetings. I can't believe how little turnout we have even on votes, okay? That would change if everyone in the community, okay, everyone who's voted in the community, because that's the way you kind of gauge it in the past, they get an actual calendar home. I'm sorry, that's a part of fiscal responsibility. It may cost something, but it also will get a lot more people out doing things.
So we have advocated for the calendar before. Not everybody on the board wants the physical calendar. They're the phone savvy people. But I like a calendar, a physical calendar. But I also understand that if we're going to spend money on a calendar, then we have to look at another budget line to see where we're going to take from. We can't just keep on adding because we don't have the resources coming in to add. So that's our job as a board, to find another line item that isn't spending the money that we could use as a resource. I also, one of the community members last year had said that a neighboring school district gets their community to put ads in the calendar, and it pays for the calendar itself, which I thought was a great idea also. But now who's taking on that task to go out and get these people to, put this in the calendar? Maybe we could advocate to our PTAs to help us with the calendar resource. But we always have to remember, any idea we have to figure out beforehand, where's the money coming from, and where are we taking it from within the budget to make that happen. One of the other communication, and I already said it, but that app, I really think is a great idea. If you have that app, you can look at extracurriculars, you can know if there's a play. There's so many things that you can put on that app. And as I think, Melissa, you pointed out, in the society of you're always on your phone, no matter if you're a child, an adult, you're going to hit that app before anything else. So I really think that's an amazing idea.
I like the idea of an app too, but I think we're missing a whole demographic of people that do not, they may even still have a flip phone. Then they're still not getting it. And the way that I feel like you can really reach people is good old United States Postal Service. I do. And I know it is a fiscal piece, but the calendar, I absolutely agree. Calendar, and you could load that thing with a ton of information. I mean, we decide the school calendar, concerts are decided, things are decided, and even the musicals. No, you may not know what musical is, but you know RMS is doing a musical on this weekend. Like, we could have that out there and have that information. And within that, even if you can put something in there with, tie it into like electronically, like here's a link for, more information on this. So somebody could go to a computer if they want to, or just load it up with information, get that calendar out there. I mean, that was such a big thing that we had growing up. And I do believe people miss it. I honestly have not heard anyone ever say, oh, I'm so glad I don't get a calendar anymore. I mean, they don't. What we do hear about it is, I wish I still got a calendar in the mail. So I think it's something we should really look at, and I think that would help increase. That is, I believe that should be a goal of ours, to really help community engagement. We can get more people to events, list our committees in there, list everything in that calendar, because we all live by our calendars. I mean, I know I do anyway. So I agree, calendar.
Part of our fiscal responsibility is looking out for the residents of this community. Hundreds of millions of dollars we have, budgetary items and everything else. If we can't find money for a calendar, we have a whole bigger problem. It's something that should be done. It's more than just a small demographic. It's a pretty large demographic that are not computer savvy. And I guarantee you'll also have parents simply going to the refrigerator and looking on that calendar. Picture day, PTA night, the plays which bring in money, all of these different things, okay? It's our responsibility to look out that the district residents are notified of everything. Everything. And clearly it hasn't been working. So let's find the money with all the money we're using here.
This is just a idea too. Like, it's not necessarily that, but like, if you look at try to take all of the feedback we got and kind of like boil it into one, right? Even if we went the physical calendar route, we read on there that we wanted more student-led and like the student to be part of it. I don't know, we have K through 12, but 1 through 12. Each one designs the picture that's on the month for that calendar. It has a QR code that links to an app that maybe in the high school there's an elective that we create in which they learn how to do things like that, like code an app. And like they're part of the making of it, right? So I think that there's ways that talk about like being responsible. It doesn't have to be, this is going to be a cost sink. This. I think the calendar can be something that can become fun rather than sounding like it's this. Also, like I get so many well, right, but I think also the other, and printing, right? But I get so many like weird calendars. I would much rather have a district one, like just strange things. I think that we saw a lot about involving partnerships with local businesses to, like, what a way to start partnerships there, and like they have their advertisement in it, and then we start discussions about that for career preparedness. Like, who knows, that it could also like stem off in a lot of different ways, but I think that it would be a really useful thing, because even I'm on my phone plenty, but sometimes I just like to write it. I don't necessarily want it on a computer. I want to see it in front of me. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of having the kids involved. And if we didn't go that route, even what we used to do is photos. I mean, I used to look in there when I was little, and I would see if my friends were in there. I mean, it was, so I think I definitely think we should. I think we have heard plenty over the years that people want a calendar sent home. They want that. So I do think that it would be our responsibility to find a way to make that happen.
I have one more thing for communication. I brought this up before. Doing a better job of, I guess, making our chain of command chart more easily accessible for people, because they just don't know who to contact. or organizations, right, there you go, more easily accessible. I know you have to like search it on the website. It's probably under one of the subheadings, but it should be something that's very front and center. So I know if I had this problem, this is who I should be going to. I think that will help a lot with people feeling like they've reached out to somebody, didn't get an answer, but somebody reached out with a similar issue. They did get an answer, and it turns out it's just because they knew who to go to. So I think that adhering to that, but also making it easy to get to. It's very buried right now.
All right, school safety and facilities improvements. This is probably a long-term goal, but I would love to see lights on the upper fields, the lacrosse fields, the soccer field that's up there, the field hockey, the baseball. That's one of my long-term goals, I guess, because that's going to be expensive and go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, while you mentioned lights, I mean, also on the flags out there, 'cause don't we have flags at each of?
I think that it's by law they have to have lights, right?
What's that?
By law they have to have
Yeah, it
lights?
does, but I'm just saying, then we could even put, I mean, if that's something that we can do, if the electric is out there and we can have lights out there. we
Add
can
flagpoles.
Yeah, add the flagpoles to that, because now we have the electric to light them up at night. Just a good idea on to that.
And Mr. Allen, as long as you're here, because this has been a goal, but I think that this is being addressed currently. The air conditioning in the gyms, right? That's a thing right now, right?
In the gymnasiums at the secondary schools, that is something we're moving forward with. Correct.
Love that.
This is probably quite long-term, big picture, but I would like to see a world in which we have a lot of very talented and skilled mechanics and groundsmen and things like that, where we could look at, I remember this coming up a few years ago, that can do a lot, are very capable of doing a lot of the work that we are eventually forced to outsource places, whatever it would be. I would love to compensate and utilize who we have, especially if it's things they know. I know that there's civil service and all of those things, but I do think that I think they already do a lot, right? They already do a lot of the stuff that we saw a presentation on the cost saving for stuff that we were able to do ourselves. I would like to see that become kind of like a norm, but make sure that it is handled appropriately.
Anybody else on school safety and facilities?
A few things I would actually like to see, and I'm not saying that I'd like to see it as in we're not doing it. I just want to make sure that we are continuing to do this, to reducing our emergency, any facility repairs, the proactive maintenance, which I'm pretty sure that they've been doing that, to make sure that we are up to date with that. And what about, I mean, since you're here, John, the condition of our facilities, a report for each building, just in general, an overview of the condition, so that we can really keep an eye on that to see what might need, something that, I don't know, that might eventually need repair. You want to make sure you have that proactive maintenance. So what about conducting and publishing a facility condition report for each of the buildings? Can we do that? Or do we have anything like that?
We're in the process. The state requires every 5 years to do a building condition survey. Last year, that work was done by the architects, so we're actually in the process now of ensuring that they didn't miss anything. When they walk through the building and they look at a space, they look at it through their lens. There are times that I'll see things that the director of facilities, that the building principals will actually identify other things, so we have the opportunity to amend those building condition surveys. That actually, I think, has to be finalized by March 1st. At that point, it becomes a formal document that Dr. Senamore will certify, and then we get a copy of it, and we can absolutely put it on the website and everywhere else. I believe the last one that was done 5 years ago is on the website, and it was the precursor to the 2022 bond. So we used the information from that building condition survey, and we used it in the large part of the development of that last bond that we did.
And once we have that finalized draft, we'll forward it to the board.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And the other thing too, which again, I'm coming from a place of not being like right in it like you are, John, but make sure our buildings always ADA compliant, which I know we've done. We did the ramps at Sycamore and some of the buildings to make sure that we always have, we are ADA compliant in every way. And are we doing something with the stages and some of the other schools where I don't know what we're doing, you would know better, but we are doing something.
Without a doubt. One of the components of the 22 bond was ADA improvements. That included making sure we had ADA level sinks in the shops, the art rooms, home and careers. And another one of the things we did, as you said, the ramps in and out of Sycamore, because of the distance between ADA ramps and the elevation of that building, we had to put ramps in that building. We have 5 stages in the elementary schools that students aren't able to access if they're wheelchair bound. So in order to ensure that any student in the building at any time has full access to the stage to participate in whether it's a school play or a spelling bee, instead of being in the pit and below, they can actually join their classmates up on the stage, and that work is happening right now.
That's excellent. Thank you.
And one of the things that was mentioned in the survey was playground inclusivity. And I just want to ensure the community, and John, please correct me if I'm wrong, the playgrounds are inclusive to ADA compliant and any other children with any kind of needs?
They are. Not every single feature has ADA compatibility, but as far as an overall structure itself, it is. Many of the features are ADA compliant. Perfect example would be a swing set. Anytime we do a swing set, we have the ability to add a handicapped swing on there. But if we don't have a student in need of that at a particular building, we'll remove that and put a regular swing in place for the time being. But we maintain those in storage and we have them accessible in case that becomes a need. So it may not look like the swings are ADA compatible, but they absolutely are. It's similar with a lot of the other elements within the playgrounds themselves, including the new surfaces that we're putting down. Even though the old systems, the old engineered wood that used to be on the playgrounds, on all the playgrounds, is ADA compatible and meets all those specifications, we decided to invest in those play squares, those rubber tiles throughout all the new playgrounds, just to make it that much more accessible across the board.
Thank you. Sarah?
No. So, I'm joking. So I have a question for you. I'm assuming, because again, I'm new to this board, and we no longer have budget advisory committees. So you're essentially kind of the manager in between, the go-between with the architect and the bond and the workers, yes?
100%.
Okay. So we no longer have a management firm doing that.
Correct.
Okay, so my question to you is, many moons ago, 20 years ago, when we passed that $100+ million bond, and Doug Spoda, whatever the hell his name was, he essentially was elected on saying all of these $100 million bonds are coming down and we're going to audit every school that had one over 10 million, right? During the time when it passed and all this stuff came in, so much materials went missing. Do we have this issue still? And do we actually, after it's delivered, do we have someone counting what was supposed to be delivered? And then let's say a week later, counting what should be there and or left over.
We have tremendous oversight now. In fact, I can attest to the fact that our purchasing director is very specific in the way that they write the POs. So we quantify it in multiple different ways. Instead of just sitting there saying, we're going to put tile underneath the playground, we actually specify the actual square footage. And if the contract calls for an extra 5% for attic stock, we make sure we have it. In fact, we keep a small amount of attic stock in a lot of cases so that we have the ability to make repairs once the warranty goes out, whether it's something like floor tiles, paint, all the different components that are used. We make sure that there's a certain amount of attic stock that's available. We quantify it. We maintain a warehouse at both this building and the high school so that we have the ability to do those type of things moving forward.
So forgive me, maybe I didn't say this correctly. Stuff goes missing, no matter what. If you have an exact, if you've put 10% more, how do we know stuff isn't going missing? Because for time immemorial with these bonds, things go missing. Now, I'm not, and I'll give you a perfect example, okay? It's not just school districts that this occurs. It's MTA, okay? When they were building that line on the Upper East Side. Stuff went missing on that too. I think, what was it, the number 2 train or 7 train? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
But so much went missing, okay? So what do we do to prevent that? Because it's kind of a thing that occurs.
So I'm trying to think of a item that has residual value to somebody. You know, like when we're doing an air conditioning project and we're doing the entire building, we know what rooms they're specified, we count the units, we make sure that they're the right specifications, but there's nothing excess. So
So you had never had to go and buy an extra bag of let's say, cement or putty to put the tiles in? Or
no.
So what you're saying to me is nothing ever goes missing.
I'm saying I can't think of anything that's gone missing, and anytime.
What is your checks and balances, though? That's a little bit of my concern.
I think we need to focus on our goals. I
This is a
don't.
lot of money, Marisol.
No, I understand, but right, we can discuss that on our next meeting. Like, we're just trying to focus on our goals for the district.
Definitely make it a topic. The next,
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
you could add it.
Yeah, and I think that it should definitely be brought up at the next meeting, for sure. Just trying to stay on task, if that's. Does anybody have anything else on facilities or school safety? All right, so technology. I mean, I have a very short-term goal because I feel like our website is not up to date. And I feel like it should be up to date. I know that it has a lot of old stuff on there. I really would like somebody to go in, revamp the website and bring it more current and up to date. We did roll out a new website, but it is a little cumbersome to find a lot of the items. So I don't know if it could be revamped to make it less. I feel like a lot of things are hidden. I had an easier time finding stuff in the previous website than I do now. Like, I just literally have to like go all over the place. So just a little more ease in access of the topics in the website and just updating the website to keep it current.
John, I apologize, but can you shut your mic off just because thank you. I 1000% agree. I don't personally care for the website. I do appreciate that the school district made an effort to roll out a new program and put this up there, but I find it very confusing and hard to find anything I really need. For a parent, you know, I'm on there often, and if I'm on there often and still having trouble, I couldn't imagine a parent who goes in there for a quick look to find something. But my major technology request is that a couple of years ago we discussed as a board scholarship, and that is where our students have badges and they sign into the school and they sign into the bathrooms and everything. Our program that we have through the parent portal or the curriculum program actually has the same technology, but we're paying scholarship to do something that we already have. So this goes back to, and Melissa talked about the program, the college readiness program, Naviance, that we are now going to be, you know, we stopped our contract and we're going to go on to a new program. We have to utilize what we have. So if we have something in place, bringing in a new program that we already have something that we can do, we have to stop double dipping is what I consider that. You know, we're paying for two things, and you know, to Melissa's point, we have to stop doing this. I think that, you know, we did ask that the administrative cabinet look into this and switch it over to our existing program. So I really would like to make that a short-term goal, not a long-term, that we really need to look into this and lower our cost there. The scholarship does cost a nice amount of money.
I just wanted to add, I'm sorry, Jackie. Another short-term goal that I had, and it's making board docs. Was it yours? Do you want to take it? Just making it more transparent for the community, because A, it's not current, and B, you can't see a lot of the stuff that we wish you would be able to see. A lot of the stuff that's seen in other districts. Melissa did bring it to our attention, because before she was on the board, she would be like, oh, I can't see this. And I'm like, no, you can. Not knowing that I can see it because I'm logged in and I have different access. But being able to have the personnel sheets pop up, if you will, or some agenda items that should be visible to the community. Not obviously every document should be visible, and some of those have to be locked for obvious reasons, but Melissa, please piggyback off of me, if you will, about the board docs after Jackie, but
No, go ahead. You're
board
on that
docs needs
topic.
to be
That's okay. Go
updated.
ahead. I'll go in.
Like, welcome to my soapbox. Yes, board docs, down to this is something for us too. When you look right now, there's a section that like, there must have been a very like brief period of time where there was like committee update documents under it, like that the community could go in and see. It seems to have stopped like 6 or 7 years ago, I think it was. But like, I know I like to type out after a meeting, sometimes during, but usually my notes, I like try to organize them. I want to find a way, I think that will help them feel as though, like, if I miss the board meeting, I don't want to scroll through until I find in the recording where Jackie was able to give the mental health committee update, right? Like, I don't want to have to hunt for it. It should be a little bit easier accessible. That's something that was on board docs I would like to see there. I think that it's like super underutilized as it is. I would just like to see all of that stuff that's in that weird section at the end. There's like pictures of all of us in one spot that are just like our own like pictures we provided, not even the ones that we like took. There's just so much room to update it, and I think it's so important for also helping. I hear a lot of feedback, not necessarily, well, some of it was in this, not necessarily, but like the understanding of what we are and are not able to talk about and why, or like what we can and cannot do as a board and why. I think sometimes the belief is that there's things that are our responsibility, and you know, as Jackie was saying earlier, we're really supposed to be that 30,000-foot view, and a lot of it is like very like granular requests that are really not our responsibility. And I think somewhere on board docs we should have an understanding of like, this is what the board does. Like, there just should be generally accessible and easy to understand. Let's use it. It's there.
And just making it cohesive. So Melissa just showed me before, there's literally 2 mission statements on there. One is our old mission statement and one is our current mission statement. So one of them should just not be there. Should just be the new mission statement. And even us, we're listed, like I think in one of the sites, Sarah's not even listed yet. Nope. So, so a little more cohesiveness and like just making it more up current. Jackie?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's
I didn't
okay.
know that our pictures were on there. But, oh yes, the things that the technology, the things that I would like to see, and I know we've been working towards this over the years with the Chromebooks, but I would like to see us maintain 100% device access for students and staff, make sure that they have what they need. I would also like to reduce cybersecurity incidents. I know we've had a few. I would like to see that reduced, perhaps by conducting 2 annual penetration tests, which are tests basically where they kind of simulate, like, not an attack, that's the wrong word, but we basically test our system, make sure that we are blocking what we need to block, our students' information is safe, so I would like to see that happen.
Just to make sure, you want to see cybersecurity reduced?
No, I want to make sure that our incidents,
incidences.
cybersecurity incidents.
Okay, Got it.
Maybe I left out that word.
no, that's okay.
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 Yes, yeah, I would like to see, because I don't want to, and, you know, make sure that we can reduce those incidents from happening. We don't want our students' information out there or anything, really. It's not supposed to be out there. Network infrastructure, you know, make sure that we can update that. I know there's issues with the Wi-Fi in many of our buildings. So I would like to see that upgraded often. And also, I would like to see the curriculum. I would like to continue on the digital literacy to students, including lessons on internet safety. And now, of course, AI is a part of that. To make sure that, I want to see that our goals, that our programs are being evaluated, making sure that they are efficient, that our students are indeed learning. So those are the goals that I would like to see for our technology.
Thank you. I do have one more for technology. When the cell phone policy was adopted, I don't know what block took place on the
Right.
Wi-Fi, but every time I go in and out of the building, my Wi-Fi disconnects. I'm not sure why that happens. I'm not sure why there's blocks in place at all. I don't know if it's for the students not to use their cell phones, but I'm not sure that that was part of the policy, was to put that block in place. I think having the Wi-Fi being able to work is important because you just never know when you need the Wi-Fi. That's another one of my goals, make Wi-Fi accessible.
And something happened, which was, it was like it doubled down on no Wi-Fi about 2 weeks ago. I have no idea what's going on. It's like someone's pressing some sort of magic button, but it shouldn't be that way. So can we figure out and find out what's going on with that, Dr. Sunamore?
Yeah, I will speak to IT.
Anybody else on technology? Melissa?
Yeah, I'll just add, I'm sorry, Melissa, that the IT department is currently involved in, go ahead.
No, go ahead. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, they're working with our technology advisory committee on the district-wide technology plan.
And then also just for the Wi-Fi, it should be easier to do, but I did have to like change a setting in my phone that left me logged in to it and didn't continuously log me out, and it doesn't happen to me anymore. Now I auto-connect, but I do. It shouldn't be that complicated and convoluted. It wasn't always like that, but there is a way.
So, staff development, retention, and cost efficiency. Does anybody want to speak to that goal? I did. Professional development opportunities for staff.
Yeah, so this kind of ties into many things that we've already spoken about, where if we keep our programs consistent, then we don't have to keep on sending our teachers out of the classroom to learn something new, because they already know it and they are able to teach our kids proficiently. So I definitely think that we have to start being more consistent within the district and not constantly bringing in new programs, no matter if it's math, English, bullying, anything. Like, we have to be consistent across the board. You know, they say in growing, childhood and everything, one of the greatest things you can do is consistency. And if as a district we're not giving that to the student, then we're doing them a disservice.
No, agreed. That's a great goal because the staff would have the development already and it would be cost efficient for the district. It'd be great.
Devil's advocate. We're talking about making sure that students are prepared for rigorous coursework and things like that in the college setting. I do agree that we shouldn't be so rapidly turning programs over, but at the same time, we do not want to be stagnant and have them not prepared for, we might not be changing things, but other places are, and universities are, that's the route they want to go. So I think it's not that they won't need, it'll be a different type of profession. It won't be development on a new program every year, right? Like, it'll be, how are we going to take the program we have and make sure it's meeting the necessities of where they're headed, you know what I mean? I don't want it to seem like it's
Totally
like,
agree with that. Enhancing what we already have.
yeah, like enhancing what we already have to make sure that they are still prepared for the ever-changing world. I think the problem with, like, math, for the example, is that they went way too far complex with it, then tried to reel it back in, then they tried to make it fun, and now it's just 2 + 2 is a 17-part word question that I could not even answer, and all of that was supposed to be an effort. Watching, like, we have to draw a square to do an addition. Like, I get it, we shouldn't be doing all that, but I think that we also need to make sure we're listening to our educators and telling us what they need in professional development, right? Like, that's us. We should be getting the feedback from that higher view and approving what they tell us they need, because we're not in the classroom, right? And we're not there executing on this curriculum. We might have brilliant ideas that aren't exactly what's necessary.
And I understand that totally about keeping it consistent, the curriculum, you know, you don't want to keep changing it. But I think one challenge that we are up against that is actually, it's out of our hands, it's out of our director's hands, is New York State. They love to jump from one curriculum, one standard to the next. So as soon as you have your staff trained, and we saw this with the math, they were doing their boxes. We had, what was it called, Common Core there, all that. Everybody got used to Common Core, and no, we're going to change it. So now math they got to do it all over again. So while I agree that yes, we want to maintain, because that is very confusing, especially for our students, that they're learning one way, and then, you know, a few years later, that way is totally gone. But part of that is not even, it's not us, it's not even that, it's New York State. They constantly want to change the standards and how we teach and this, that they keep changing that, which makes it, honestly, it makes it very tough on our educators, because they might be a very seasoned teacher, 20 years, whatever it might be. They got to change everything around just to go by those standards. So, well, of course that's you know, would be a goal to make sure we don't have to. But I'm honestly, I'm not totally sure how we can go about doing that when New York State keeps throwing things at us, throwing things at our teachers, saying no, you got to, you know, do circles instead of boxes. It's, you know, kind of crazy. But I think we have to keep that in mind too.
Right, and one of the goals is to make sure that we support any kind of professional development that they need to see that those programs come to
Absolutely.
fruition.
Yeah, and I do agree with that. Whatever kind of professional development they need, whatever help the teachers need to help our students, absolutely, you know, to support them for that and give them the supports that they need so that they can do that. The time that they need to go, whether it's time away from the classroom, if there's a certain, you know, class going on, whatever it might be, so that they can get that information and be able to teach our students.
There are things that are mandated and there are things that are suggested. And we have to also look to the fact that private schools aren't doing that, okay? They're not following these, as I said, these kind of fads that occur every 7 to 9 years. And quite frankly, what's going down is people are voting that in, okay? Board members are at the recommendation of certain administrators are voting things in that should not be voted in. But having said that, clearly if something's mandated, we have to have the proper training for our teachers. That's a given. What I'm talking about is let's stay away from the things that they're sometimes recommending when maybe they shouldn't be.
I think we also have to keep in mind that we're not a private school, right? So we don't get to pick and choose what we teach. We have to teach what the state mandates us. So in a private school, they can pick and choose. They don't have to do regencies. They don't have to do. So, but we have to because we're a public school.
I said mandated versus recommended.
Right.
So clearly.
Right.
I also just wanted to mention, you know, we invest in our educators, they'll invest in the district, which is an investment in our children.
Yes.
Right. So like, I think sometimes there is going to be, I know we've had some professional development that hasn't made the cut because of the cost. Obviously, I'm not saying it should be $200,000 one day extravaganza, but there's going to be times where like, that's our job, right? To look at, like, sometimes it's money that has to be spent for a good cause. And I would like to see us, this is right too, like if I feel connected to my job, I'm going to want to stay at my job. If I feel connected and proud of what I do, I'm going to want to stay. I remember when I was a student, to me, it didn't feel like any of my teachers felt like they were just like at a job. I felt like all of them like loved what they did. And I just want to make sure that we're paying attention to that and making sure that everybody, for the most part, right? Not everybody's going to feel that way, but like teaching is a job of passion. And we play a big part in our culture and among other things of making sure that that passion doesn't die out for people.
I just want to make sure I understand it correctly. This professional development, that's like classes that teachers take, just like continued education, or?
Yeah, it's programs that are offered to teachers so that they could better be be prepared to present the material and the curriculum to the students.
So that doesn't always have to be like a new curriculum, just more like teaching that just like better, I guess, or not better, but different teaching methods.
Correct.
Now I'm not a teacher, but I tutor at Mathnasium, and one of my basic experiences is that a lot of the kids don't learn in the same ways. So I think that having the different tools in their toolbox, learning different styles of teaching, I think is actually very helpful.
Yes. Okay. Improving district rankings and competitiveness. I know for me, one of my goals to increase, I feel like a lot of our students are looking for tutors, always and everywhere. So if we could find a way, and I know right now we have the honors and the AP students at the high school that offer tutoring, or some of the teachers offer after school, but if there was a different way for students to get tutoring and enrichment in whatever area they're struggling with. Michael, I see you have your microphone if you want to add.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so I'm a member of a couple of different honor societies, and for Math Honor Society, it's a requirement to be in the honor society to do, I believe it's 15 tutoring hours, and a majority of the students offer it for free, and we have like Google Forms and stuff where where members submit what they are comfortable tutoring, and their available periods, and then they submit their contact information, and then that information is relayed to students who need tutoring. Last year I did my tutoring hours, and I actually found it very difficult to find kids who
Needed it?
Yeah, or not needed. I think a lot of kids needed it, but kids that came and
So now,
we're willing to
is it
receive
15
this.
tutoring hours specifically,
Yeah,
or
take
community service?
It's 15 tutoring hours, point blank period. So like this year, for example, like I'm working at Mathnasium now, I could use those hours, but a lot of kids end up just doing them for free. Like I did them for free last year. I had a lot of friends who did them for free last year. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I think this goes back to communication also. I am aware that Honor Society students tutor only because I had an Honor Society student. And I feel that many people don't even know that's a resource within the school, and that most kids need to do that for their credits. So again, this is communication. We're not putting it out there to every student to let them know this is available. And maybe how do you contact someone for this tutoring?
I would like, so that we can keep it like data driven on our end though. Let's say we do increase the communication about who's looking for it, but we notice we get a report back, right? It might not be math as a whole. It might be just like a certain part of math or a certain set, whatever it is, because we could beat it to death on like something that might not need the improvement, right? So if we notice that the increase in requests of tutoring is coming at whatever part of it, then perhaps this is where we focus professional development efforts or see if there's a need for that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's to keep it data-driven for us from that larger view. What we should know about is, okay, the second marking period or whatever it is, there was an increase in the requests for the Honor Society-based tutoring, and during that time, it was whatever they were teaching in math. What do we do as a district then, rather than getting too...
So through the honor societies, it's free. Right.
Yeah, and I
So
thought that was
your
amazing,
microphone, your
Melissa. Amazing idea. I think that's great to keep the data.
Yeah, but maybe guidance can get it out there, because they kind of have an idea of who can and can't afford, I'm assuming, and the kids that may need help, and they can offer it up. I mean, wouldn't that be I don't know, I'm asking, wouldn't that be the route?
I'm personally not sure. I think we're, having this conversation. Dr. C is writing this all down so we can find solutions. Yeah.
Yeah, with all these things that the board is discussing tonight, and it's been an outstanding conversation, and we still have more topics to cover. Yeah, I'm taking some extensive notes and will be going back to the administrative team. So certainly, something like tutoring will be a conversation that'll be had with, curriculum and guidance.
Wouldn't it be great if they could put it on at the beginning of the year?
A ditto?
Not a ditto, but a calendar.
And we're back.
Oh, I don't know.
I think I would like to see also information about how many. My understanding was that there are some offerings of extra helps and things like that. Is it that people can't get there because it's too early? People can't get home because, like, what is stopping the available resources from being utilized? Because we are kind of jumping to an assumption that it's not clearly communicated. Maybe it is. I think Michael also brought up, like, when you're excited about what you're learning, you're more likely to want to learn it. So if I'm already feeling discouraged about math, I'm probably not going to want to go necessarily to my peer who's already smarter than me and getting it. So is that what the gap is? I think we would need to receive information too about what is stopping, what is available, and what is being utilized and what is not.
A long-term goal that I would like to see to improve our district is I would like to see our region scores in both math and English increase. I mean, I want to give it a percentage, but just an increase in general at this point, I would love to see. Does anybody have anything?
Yeah, to dive down into that, we have a lot of students that pass the Regencies, but maybe only with a 65 or used to be a 70. I'd like to see that we're passing at a better level. Just because so many kids do struggle in some of the harder subjects of the math and the science. So I'd like, and I don't know what that is, but that's all you, Joe.
Right, that's what I
like a
was saying.
mastery or
Like,
something.
I know that it's a long-term goal because that doesn't happen overnight, but I would love to see our ELA and math scores increase. All right, so that's all the individual topics that I had. Does anybody have any other goals that weren't covered or that I may have missed?
I have just a few other things just that are kind of more for us, board goals that I would like to see. I would like to see us complete, maybe 2 full superintendent evaluations, sorry, Dr. Say, per year, to, see how we are doing. I would also like to see us really, we're the policymakers of the district. I think we should make it a goal too to review and update maybe, we could put a number on it, 15, 20 policies, make sure that we are staying up to date, we're staying, compliant where we need to be compliant, and we are making sure that our policies are relevant to our community. I would like to see us do that. And I'm pretty sure we are already here, but I want to put this out there, ensure completion of 100% of the NICED required board trainings, whatever we are required to do, which I believe we are doing, make sure that we are doing that. And even an annual board self-evaluation. How do we think we are doing as a board? We're 5 very individual people, and how are we doing together to achieve these long-term goals that we have set for the district and for our students? Because maybe we'll find that, well, we had a goal, we didn't quite get there. So what can we do to get to that? So I think it's important for us, while we're evaluating every other little thing, we should also look at ourselves and see how effective we are as a board in all of these topics that we discussed: transparency, communication to the community, ensuring academic success for our students, college readiness, or just career readiness, or wherever it is the students want to go. Are we actually attaining those goals?
So I do love the board self-evaluation. That was going to be one of my goals, because I think that if we hold ourselves accountable, that would be fantastic to hold everybody else, we hold everybody else accountable, we might as well hold ourselves accountable. So I do love that.
I also like the self-evaluation, got a little star on mine. And I have no problem with evaluating the superintendent twice a year. As for the policies, I have to say, our district clerk, Our district clerk does a great job of keeping up with the policies and what we are mandated to ensure that we are doing. We have met consistently, almost monthly, with the lawyer to ensure all policies are up to date. So I have to agree with that. And board training, we were mandated to make sure, so the state actually is keeping us accountable that we have our training. So we wouldn't be allowed to be a sitting board member without that.
I am all for the self-evaluation, but I think this goes back to a prior conversation about the norms. What are we evaluating us on, right? Like what are the benchmarks for that? I know this could be a different, well, it's actually under one of the goals is for us to get to the point where we're doing a board self-evaluation, but similar to this, we need a baseline to evaluate, which is what I kind of thought the norms were. And I know I just brought us full circle to that conversation, so I might be wrong, but.
You know, I agree, Melissa, and I just like we have an evaluation form for Dr. Centimore and for other people within the district. I think she wants a exact form, but I am a huge advocate for our norms, and I do believe we should post those on board docs personally. But I understand the evaluation, which, you know me, I'll have something soon that we can all look at.
Yeah, I think it is important to have those benchmarks that you said, and that's why I think we should use these particular goals, whatever we discussed tonight, to basically guide us in our benchmarks. So we're achieving what we are saying we want to see achieved. Of course, it could take years. Could be a totally different board. You never know. But just in general, are we actually achieving what our goals are? So you kind of use those as our benchmarks. As far as the norms, I think I've made myself clear. I don't agree with signing into anything. I don't agree with, but while I agree with a lot of what's in there, of course, we want to be respectful, we want to do that, with each other, work together. I absolutely agree with that. But I don't want to, I don't want to sign anything. I don't want to hold future boards to that. I think as adults, I don't think we should have to sign our name to something to say we're going to treat each other with respect. But it's, that's just my thoughts on that. But I think as far as a self-evaluation, I think it's more, are we evaluating ourselves based on the goals that we discussed? Are we actually reaching those goals, or at least on our way? How far we've come? Do we need to do a little bit more to get to a certain goal? Whatever it might be that we're discussing at that moment.
I'd like to see board members stick to 3 minutes.
That's just literally not a rule.
What?
That's not, board members can speak for more than 3 minutes.
I know. I
Oh.
think that if we are
Oh,
allotting
you want that to be a
3
goal?
minutes for the public, then maybe we should stick to 3 minutes.
Got it.
Just saying.
I definitely think this current board does a much better job at that 3-minute rule and giving everybody a chance than some prior boards. So I have to say, our meetings are pretty succinct and robust.
So does anybody have anything else for the goals? I think we have some good data for you to work off of. Sir, would you like to speak again? Okay. Can I have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Good job, everyone. Thank you.